Hey guys, today's video is something that I've wanted to film for like literally a year, and it is glowy kind of makeup for people with oily skin because I am someone who loves that glowy and natural look, but unfortunately matte and mattifying products work a lot better on my skin type. First step is always going to be moisturizer. I like to use my Clinique Dramatically Different moisturizing gel, not the lotion, but the gel. It sinks totally into your skin and is baby smooth. So I'm not really a primer person, and I know that in a lot of kind of dewy makeup looks, people like to use a glowy primer, but personally, if I put a glowy primer on and then I put like a matte foundation on top, especially if there's a lot of coverage, you're just not going to see that glow. If you have like a favorite just like mattifying primer or something that you know is going to keep you more matte, definitely go in with that next. But me, I'm going to go in with my Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. I have the shade 1N1, and this foundation is my holy grail for oily skin. It is one of the most oil controlling foundations that I've ever used, and I've literally tried hundreds. So here's where things get interesting, and actually I saw a recent video of Nakia Joy who did a very similar video, and she mixed in her glowy products, I think with her primers, but I'm gonna put it right on the foundation. So this is like a little sample of Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops in the shade Moonlight. Any kind of liquid will work. I'm just gonna put a few drops in there. I would stay away from creams. I find that creams tend to get a little bit greasier than liquids because the liquids really dry down. You can also mix in an illuminating powder. So this is the Becca Soft Light Blurring Powder, and it's just a really finely milled, glowy kind of shimmery powder. So that's something that you can mix in instead of the liquid if you don't have that. So I'm gonna use a damp sponge to apply this all over my face. Going to go over a couple areas that I have some breakouts. If you have some serious things you want to cover up, I would recommend doing your concealer before this step because concealers tend to be very matte and very obvious. So I would recommend doing that before this step if you have any major breakouts or things you want to cover up. So I think you can tell that my skin still has like a really healthy glow to it. Usually this Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation is pretty matte on my skin. It looks like it has a bit of a powdery finish, but here it still looks really glowy and natural, but I'm gonna get the oil control that I need. And you can always put more of this in if you want. I used about 3 to 4 drops to get this, but you can always go extra. I'm going to add a very small amount of concealer just to brighten up my under eyes. This is the also Estee Lauder Double Wear Brush On Glow BB Highlighter, and it's just like a really light coverage, glowy, it's not really a concealer, but kind of. I would stay away from super full coverage and mattifying concealers just because they will look obvious and it will be a stark contrast compared to your glowy skin. So here is where you would powder if you have to. I find that with the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation, I don't really have to powder. It stays put all day. Okay, so now for the glowy part. So I don't like to just put highlight everywhere and call it a day. I like to add a sheen to my skin that is very, very natural and separate from the actual highlighting process. So there are so many options that you can choose for this. Basically what you're looking for is something that gives a very natural sheen, doesn't have like glitter or obvious shimmer. So here are some options. The Hard Candy Candlelit Duo. These are really, really natural highlights that just give the skin a glow. This is the Wet n Wild Color Icon Bronzer in Reserve Your Cabana, which is not really a bronzer in my opinion. It's pretty much my skin color, and it just gives like a really, really beautiful just like a natural sheen. And then again, you could always use the Becca Soft Light Blurring Powder. So I think I'm gonna use the Wet n Wild one, and I'm gonna use kind of like a medium-sized brush to just put that on areas that I wanna add some more glow. So for me, it's kind of like above my eyebrow and up into my hairline, blending into my temples a bit. I also kind of want to bring the glow right here on my chin, on my nose, just very, very subtle glow. And another one that you could use is the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter. For bronzer and blush, you want to make sure that you stay away from super matte looking powders. So I've got two drugstore options that I am in love with. This is the Rimmel Sun Shimmer Bronzer in the shade Gold Princess. And very similar to that is the CoverGirl Bronzer in 102 Copper Radiance. Both of these give a really natural sheen. I think today I'll use this one just to give my cheeks a very subtle color. And now for like the actual highlighting, I'm gonna be using this NYX Strobe of Genius highlighting palette. This is gorgeous for like an intense, but like also just natural, dewy, wet kind of look. For me, I'm gonna use kind of this lightest champagne color with my Real Techniques setting brush. And now I'm just gonna add that extra highlight in the obvious highlighting places, which is the cheekbone, under the brow, and kind of bringing it up into a C shape around my eye. And I'm just gonna bring a little bit of extra up my forehead and under my bottom lip too. I always like to do that. To finish it off, you can always use kind of a dewy setting spray. NYX has a really good dewy setting spray. There's that really expensive Tatcha one that everybody talks about. Or even something like this, the Sephora Perfection Mist Nude Glow, which is just like an aerosol kind of spray that has a very subtle nude rose gold shimmer in it. So a lot of this is just stuff that most people normally do when they're highlighting. But for me, I think the real difference is one, using a foundation that is normally matte and mixing in either a shimmery powder or a shimmery liquid. I would, again, stay away from creams if you have oily skin, but a liquid highlight, mixing it in to make this long-lasting oil control foundation just a little bit more glowy. And then again, using that kind of step before highlighting to just give your skin like that natural sheen. And for me, I use that Wet n Wild just kind of all over my face. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're new, you can always subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. I put out new ones every week, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.